This is the growth strategy, where clarity meets purpose and purpose fuels growth. Welcome to the growth strategy, and today I have here with me one of the finest business consultants who is a British Sierra Leone consultant and the founder of Connoisseur. I have her here to give us detailed discussion into building something functional on the ground. She's well known when it comes to helping people thrive in their businesses. That's why I've brought her to come and impact us with some detailed knowledge on how we can navigate our way around becoming entrepreneurs. So yes, we are into business growth. So Kamara is here to help us. So quickly, let me get into where once we start our conversation. So Kamara, I know I've said a bit about you, but can you just let me know who is Mahawa Kamara?
Okay, well, hello. Thank you for having me. My name is Mahawa Kamara. I'm a British Sierra Leonean. I'm actually an operation and growth strategist. So really what I do at the core of it is I help people fix their businesses. The name of my business is Connoisseur Consult, which is based in Sierra Leone. I used to run a company called Connoisseur, so I actually have a background in the cosmetics and the skincare business as well before moving into consultancy and really business development and operations support. I'm based between Sierra Leone, Freetown, and Ghana, sometimes I can say, and stuff. So that's a little bit about me and what I do. But my job really is to go in and fix businesses and clean them up.
Interesting. So this is Laudable, and why I have it here to take us through building something functional on the ground. So yes, she has a business that is based in Sierra Leone, and we're going to touch base on that. So Kamara, how did Soap Connoisseur started?
Okay, so my first business started in 2014, 2015 actually, and that started when I was on maternity leave. I used to be a social worker, and then I came across soap making, and the whole skincare and natural care movement was quite big at the time as well. And so that was like, okay, I think there's something there. And I remember making my first bar of soap, and 4 weeks later I was bathing with it, and I remember just there was this light bulb that went off in my head, and I was like, I think I've got a product. And that started the journey into entrepreneurship and building Soap Connoisseur, which was a business I ran for 10 years before finally really scaling it down and concentrating on this other side of my business life.
Did you get the idea from somewhere? Was there something that inspired you to go into that soap making?
No, the soap making business, I remember just sitting down one night and was like, how do you, and I remember seeing soap making, and I was like, how do you make soap? I was so intrigued by it, to be honest. And I was like, how do you make soap? And I always say I clicked the button, and I went down this rabbit hole. And I was like, oh my God, and I just fell in love with the whole process of it. So it was just me exploring and coming across something that I really enjoyed, and then taking that thing that I enjoyed and turning it into a business that I could, grow and scale. And then, so it was just that journey of discovering, to be honest. Yeah.
There was a picture of you that I saw in Ghana. I don't know if you were in the Mokola market or Kijita market. The Ghana really played a role in you moving into this soap business.
Yeah, I think Ghana at the time was the country I'd sort of identified that I could expand into, especially in terms of the African skincare market at that time. So I did visit Ghana a few times, and there was some support available for you to expand into the Ghanaian market and things like that. I think with Ghana, COVID happened. And once COVID happened, it sort of changed a few things in terms of how the market now worked and the market now functioned, and how to make sense of doing business in Ghana as a non-Ghanaian. I think that was something that did come up in terms of doing business as a non-Ghanaian. But all the same, it was such a great learning experience. Could I take my business into a new market where I'm not necessarily of heritage, and actually how do you do that process? So that was a real leadership journey that helped me in building what I do now, actually, to be honest.
So I love this pattern, but then I'll come in on that later, because I've sat with so many young talented individuals that pour out ideas to me, but none of them have been able to actualized or brought those ideas into effect. What do you think could be some of the reasons that people are unable to bring their ideas to life?
I don't know. Is there a such thing as not bringing your idea to life? I don't know if that's my sort of kickback question, because I think if you have an idea and you really and you really want to bring this idea to life, I just feel like it's one of those things that you would find a way to sort of try. You got to at least try. It, and it's in trying it you're gonna know whether it's gonna work for you or whether it's not gonna work for you. But you definitely got to try. So I think the thing that lets people not bring their idea to life is they actually don't try to bring it to life. I think people think that the idea is there and it's gonna come together, but I think not trying is actually a greater disservice than trying it. So I think try whatever your idea is.
Did you ever had the fear of failing when you had the idea of starting Soap Connoisseur?
Of course, like definitely. I didn't know what I was doing. I think I was 25. I didn't know what I was doing, but in my head, everybody needed to bath, and so why not start a bath and soap making company? Like it was one of those things. Like I think when I started Soap Connoisseur, I would say I was like trigger happy in terms of like everybody has to bath, and I've got a soap making company. And of course, you quickly realize that building a business is not as straightforward as everybody needs to bath, right? And so I think the fear of failure, it's there, but it's kind of like, who cares? Like it's either you fail fast, fail quick, and keep it moving. Like, but failure is a part, of that process. So I think this thing of all it is one idea that didn't work, or one method that didn't work, or one approach that didn't work. Do you understand? So that's all it is. So if you look at it from that way, then you don't have nothing to really fear, because if one approach didn't work, then you try another approach, right? And then you kind of keep going until you figure out what does work and what doesn't work for you. So do I have a fear of failure? Probably, but did I acknowledge it and give it room and space? Probably not.
Okay, but I feel like the failure aspect will come across in different aspects. Someone might want to start, but the fear of not being able to scale, the fear of not being able to, is this something that people are actually going to love it? Is it something that I have really wanted to do, or is just an idea that has come up? Was there a point in time that whilst you thought of doing Soap Connoisseur, was it something you had actually thought of doing, or it was just an inspiration that just dawned on you and you were like, yo, let me just go in for it? Whether I win or I do not win, I will know how to navigate myself around that.
Yeah, I think like I explained earlier, it was just an idea that I discovered, and I decided to go on that journey of discovery with it. And at every point in time, like I think it's just you have an idea, you think, okay, can I do this? Is there a way around it? And you just go for it. There's no, I think this thing of like, I think we overthink what getting started is and what like getting started mean, and the things you're thinking about and stuff like that. They're like, you have to get started. I don't know how to put it in any more bluntly, but you have to get started. And it is in getting started, you're going to figure out all the other things that you actually need to figure out. But if you are thinking about those things before you get started, you've kind of paralyzed yourself before you even begun. So I would say get started. Actually, sometimes that's the only way. Like, get started. You're going to be blind in starting, but that is what faith is, right? It's not about seeing the whole picture, the whole process. So start with where you are, start with what you have, but start something. That's what I would say.
Okay, was capital something that was a challenge to you when you thought of starting your project, or you had your capital already?
No, capital is always a problem. I think even with my business now, I didn't start with any capital per se. I started with what I had, which was a product or a service or whatever. So yeah, capital is always one of those things that you need, but there are different ways around capital, and I think the conversation around capital is much bigger than people make it to be. So it's a problem, but it's only a problem if you see it as a problem. In terms of getting started, capital is not always the issue.
So what do you think young individuals that want to start their own business and are unable to start are lacking at the moment? And what can they do? What should be the first things that they can do?
Is this context specific? So I think it depends on the context. So if you are a young individual so I think, what do you think? They want to start their business, but they're unable to start their businesses?
Unable, yeah. Because personally, I've been that type of person that I have so many ideas, but whenever I want to start, I feel like, is this thing really going to thrive? Are people going to get these things from me? How am I going to deal with competition? Why am I going to invest my money in something that is going to sit for so long if people are not coming in to patronize me? So that thing make me sit back and do not want to start. How do I overcome some of these things?
Okay, all right. So here's the thing. I think people live in la la land, and so I want to wake you up a bit. What is a business, and what does it do? So ideas are designed to solve problems, right? And so if you have an idea that is able to solve a problem for somebody or in a particular area for whatever reason, then you have something worth going into. And I think that's the question that people don't either know how to answer or want to answer or really understand about any venture that they're going to undertake. Ultimately, business ideas are really there to solve problems for something. The whole idea is, I have a solution to this problem that I have seen, and this is my solution. And I charge a percentage, or you understand, an exchange of value, which is money, to be able to share and distribute that solution. That is all. That is essentially what it is. So the question is, what is the problem that your idea solves? What is the solution that you're bringing forth to the table? Because that's what really matters. And so if you haven't been able to kick it off, it's because it doesn't solve a problem. It probably doesn't really do anything. I think a lot of people have fancy ideas and great ideas. But the truth is, what does the idea solve? What solution does that idea bring and ultimately bring to the table? And that's what you need to be thinking about. If you have that, then ultimately you do have something that can then be developed into something further. But if you don't know what the solutions are or what problem this idea solves, then essentially you are just talking out of thin air. And I think we have a lot of people who sit in that category, unfortunately, who are not willing to do the deeper work. So you got to do the work. So it's all well and good, I've got an idea, I have all these, but have you also done the work that is required in bringing this idea to life? Have you researched it? Have you gone further? Have you asked people? Have you done any form or some level of market research? So also, what you put into the idea or wherever you are at is also what you get out of it. So what have you put into it as well to really bring this idea to life and to birth it? So that's what I think it's about. What is the problem and how do you solve the problems that are around you?
Interesting. So I have the idea and it does solve the problem. Now, what should I focus on first? Should I focus on the products, the customers, or just solving a problem? What should I look into? Because I have the problem is existing. Yes, I can solve it, but in a bigger picture, is it the problem, or I should focus on how I'll be able to get customers after solving the problem, or the product that I am bringing on board? Which of these things should I really focus on?
No, I think you're I think it's nothing that is confusing, and it's nothing that it's not this like. It's not rocket science. The truth is, if I have your idea, somebody must have a problem somewhere, right? And your idea has created a solution for that problem. So ultimately, it's within the circle of it already. Who is it you're solving the problem for? How much are they willing to pay you to solve that problem? So it's kind of a holistic thing. It's not something they're not separate things. They're things that work all together. If I have a solution that solves a problem for 65-year-olds, that's my target group, that's my audience group. What type of 65-year-olds am I solving it for? What is the thing that that this thing does for them to be able to make their life better, whatever it is. So they're not separate, they work together. So you got to work it all together for you to get out the things that you're looking for and those answers that you're looking for.
It's not an instant that you can have a very good product, but you might not be able to get customers for it. Is there not an instance like that? You have a very good product, but you do not have customers for it.
Then you don't have a product.
How?
Then you didn't do your work, because if you've created, there's no way you should, somewhere along that product journey, you should have figured out who your customers is and who was willing to buy from you, and should have even had some like testing done for you. So if you've ended up, I have a product and I have no customers to buy from, then you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out who is this thing for. So that means you're targeting the wrong people with that product. You're speaking to the wrong audience group with that product. So you need to go back to the drawing board and figure out, what is my offering? So what is the product I'm offering or service I'm offering? Who, again, what is the problem it solves, and who does it solve that problem for? If you have those 3 questions in the beginning, you can't target, you can't end up with a product that has no customers, because you would have done the targeting right. So what this means is you haven't targeted it properly, and you need to go back to the drawing board and look at who you're targeting and how you're going to target them.
All right. Let me take you out of Connoisseur and then putting you onto your consultancy business development profession. You speak to a lot of startups or people that have ideas that want to bring to life or start it. What are some of the main challenges that you encounter some of these people bring onto your table?
Can I be really honest, actually?
Okay.
In a sense, we do work with, so I do work with startups, but I actually don't work with startups. And I have my reasons for that. So one of the rules within especially the consultancy business, is we actually work with operating businesses. So we really work with businesses that are 2 years older and plus. And there's and our reasoning behind that is that business has gone through certain things and certain mechanisms. That at that point they're ready for certain operational restructuring or certain work that we essentially as a firm provide. Nevertheless, I do speak to a lot of startups because I'm in the mentor space as well, and sort of working with different startups that are coming. So I think the problems vary. I know startups may say they need capital, or they need X, Y, and Z and things like that. I think with Africa's startup ecosystem, I think we have the thing of funding. So how startups get funded, how startups are able to grow, market access. So where can they market? Access, whether it's domestic market or regional markets or even global markets. So there's a variant with the startup space, especially within I think this is speaking to the African and especially the West African context, and what to do about some of those things. So I think access to capital is always something that it's always going to come up. It's always something that is an issue. But I think beyond access to capital, a lot of startups need to think about the operational realities actually. So how do they actually run their businesses on the ground? How's this business actually going to run and sustain itself? And that's a conversation that startups don't have, because they're constantly chasing the funding and the investment and sort of that side of the business.
Great. And I think I wouldn't want to narrow it down to Africa, but I feel like that's one of the very big challenges that people that want to start businesses encounter. Let me ask you this question. When you wanted to start your Connoisseur, did you put any systems in place? Was there any planning? Did you go through any market research before you got to realize that this thing I can start now?
Yes and no. And I think this thing, market research, is an ongoing thing. Market research, I think people think I do market research once and that's it. No, I think market research is ongoing. So here's the thing. If you are an entrepreneur, I think wherever you are in the world right now, I think you got to get started. Here's the thing. There's enough tools and resources available for you to actually get started, whether that's creating content about what you're doing and things like that, because you're trying to get feedback and stuff like that. So market research is not a one-time thing. That's the biggest mistake you can make actually as a business. So market research is an ongoing process. It happens constantly. You're always doing market research every time you sell to a customer, every time you you talk to a partner. You're always gathering market research and some form of data as to how to make your business processes and your systems better. When you begin the business and as you begin the journey on the business, you then get to understand, okay, what types of systems and processes does my business need? So one of the things I'm working on is something called the love languages of entrepreneurship, right? So does your business love back, right? And making sure you're speaking the right language to your business, right? So what are those love languages that your business may need at this particular time? There's a time where the business needs marketing, and brand presence. There's a time where you need to really focus the business on sales and revenue and real revenue generation. And there's a time where you've got to go back and look at your innovation and your ideas. You understand? And there's a time where you got to take time out and really build the systems and the operations. So it's about understanding what your business needs at any point in time. So in the beginning, you absolutely need systems and an operating structure, but you've got to be willing to test out that system and operation structure, because as you grow, it's also going to grow and require different things. So I think that it's not a one-time thing. A business is a living thing. And living things grow and evolve. And so you also have to grow and evolve with this living thing called a business that you're trying to build.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm loving this conversation. But then if someone really wants to start something from the ground at this time, what should be the first step that person should take?
Well, write the idea down. That's the first thing, I guess. Take it out of your head.
Okay.
I think a lot of people keep things in their head. So take it out of your head. Get it on paper, write the vision, make it plain, right? So that's the first thing I would do, is write your ideas down, share your ideas. So don't be, I know we come from a culture that way, you don't share your ideas because you don't know.
I was coming to that. Yeah. I was gonna come to that. Thanks for answering that.
Okay, of sharing your ideas. It's not saying you gotta share everything, but I think sharing your ideas is important because it also gives you scope as to where things sit and things like that. And then do your research. What do you need to get started? How much capital do you need? Do you need this X, Y, and Z? And I think that's the thing. I think it goes back to, you gotta take action. Listen, hear me and hear me well. If you hear this, there's no magic bullet. There's no magic pill. There's not a magician trick. You got to get up and take action. So if you want to start importing a business from Ghana to China, from China to Ghana, get up. Go online, research, like action. It's those small. I think we underestimate the small action steps so much. Yeah. And how much that builds. There's a book called The Compound Effect. What's this guy's name? Is it something Green? He runs Success Magazine. It's called The Compound Effect. And he talks about the compound, like, what is compounding? It's a finance term, right? So if you're in finance, you know what compounding is. And I think people underestimate the small steps that you take, and that is all that is actually required, is those small steps, just consistently. So if I want to start an importation business from X, Y, and Z, get up, start researching it, speak to people, go to the port. Like, you understand, we live in an information age and era. Our market women have bloody smartphones in their hand. You understand? Most people are connected for the most part. You can Google stuff, you can research stuff, you could talk to people. You understand? You gotta take the action. There's no magic method, guys. I'm so sorry to tell you that, but it really is one word called action. And you gotta take the step to move you from one place to the other until the idea grows and you expand it and you build on it. That's the only secret to it. You don't do that, you're going to stay where you are and you're never going to move forward, and you're going to be complaining in the government and the this and the environment, the economy, give me a break. So ultimately, it is about you as the individual taking what you want to say, affirmative action, and really deciding, I have something I want to do and I'm going to get up and do it. Whether I fail, whether it works, whether it doesn't work, like, at least let me try the damn thing, right? So try it. So research it. You've got a phone in your hand. You've got access to social media. Like, the tools are
there. Yeah.
Do you understand? They're there.
Numerous.
It's up to you whether you want to harness and use, like go on ChatGPT, like bloody, come on guys. What is it again that you want? So there's no magic pill to this thing. It is really taking action and taking those steps and then being consistent in those action steps and diligent and every day slowly you will see a big change, but it's not going to happen in one big scoop. Overnight success takes 10 years.
Absolutely. And I know everyone is going to enjoy this conversation. This is Mahawa Kamara. She's a business consultant and runs her own business. But Mahawa, I just want to know, at what point did you actually get to know that you are really building something that is meaningful? This is actually what I envisioned to get. At what point did you figure that?
I figured out before I got there. So you gotta have,
really?
You gotta, because that's what's gonna keep you going.
Okay.
If you don't have that before you get there, you're gonna give up
because I feel like you had the idea, but once you started, you saw something that you were like, oh my God, even though I thought of doing this, but what I am getting now is beyond what I imagined.
In what sense? I'm trying to understand what it is you're
so you thought of doing soap. I want to start a soap business. Your imagination was starting something small, but along the line you developed something that was appealing to almost everyone, and you'd be like, oh, what I envisioned to do has really exceeded the expectation. At what point did you feel that?
I think that's a good question, actually. I don't know if I've ever really stopped and thought about because I think I haven't stopped building yet. So I think you do think about because celebrate the wins, right? You got to celebrate the wins, as well as everything else. So I do celebrate the wins. If we get a good contract, if something happens, so 100%. I think I'm always celebrating in a sense of I'm really happy I actually started this thing because I didn't know that this is what is going to come out of it. And I think that's the element of surprise when you do start something and you're like, oh my God, I didn't know starting this thing was actually going to turn into something much, much bigger. So I think that element of surprise is always there. And I think having that is what keeps you going to continue building it, because the building process is quite difficult. Building a business is really difficult, especially from the ground up, with sort of no, backing and none of those, externals in place. So you're having to really build everything up yourself. That is extremely difficult. So it's two things. You got to have the vision for it before you start building it, because that's what gives you the push to start building it.
Your mood board,
And then you got to also be willing and flexible as that vision begins to be built, because it then takes a life of its own and a shape of its own. So I think it's a bit of both, and always acknowledging where you started and where you are currently in that journey. So it's a journey, and I think it's appreciating the journey that you're on more than always I'm trying to get to this destination, because we do focus on the destination. I'm still trying to get to my whatever million or whatever and stuff like that, but in that there's been such a good journey that I've gone through that I wouldn't trade for anything else. So I think it's both, but you got to have a vision, definitely, because the vision will anchor you and keep you going for the long term.
Some deeper insight. I know you cannot forgo mistakes when you want to start something like that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was there a mistake that you did that really shaped you or changed everything, or how you were thinking about the whole project?
So many. I'm still making mistakes now. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you ever stop. I think mistakes definitely with hiring is always a really tricky one. I think hiring is always a tricky one, and I made a lot of, and I'm still kind of learning in terms of when you're hiring people, paying them, what your obligations are as an employer, what their obligations are as an employee. And I think with places back home, because I think a lot of your audience is Africa based or really understand the context of doing business back home on the ground in the continent, and you know how it is with hiring people back home, that comes with its own plethora of issues, anything from skills gaps to just how they do the work, just the culture as well. So I think that's something I've definitely learned in terms of when it comes to hiring and the mistakes around hiring and the systems that are needed when you're hiring people. Actually, I think that's really important. And sometimes I overlooked that in the beginning because, it was I just needed the help or whatever. But I think, understanding that's one area I've made mistakes and I'm still learning from it. Having to fire people, that's a thing that at some point you're gonna have to let people go. It's really hard to do that, but those are things that you learn from and stuff like that. Someone's not right for the team, or it's not working out, or even maybe you can't afford to pay them. There's so many things that come up in building a business that I've learned. And I think hiring and the people part of the business is something that you may make mistakes on, but you will learn from it and grow from.
I would ask you a question about doing business in Africa. Quickly, looking back to where you are now, if you were to give yourself one advice, what would be that advice you think you should have given yourself earlier if you should look back?
That's a good oh my god, that's a good one. What advice I would have given myself now, looking back?
Yeah, looking back from where you started and where you are now.
Don't be afraid of the numbers.
Okay. Don't
be afraid of the numbers. It's 1 + 1 = 2. It really is 1 + 1 = 2. And I think a lot of founders, it's female founders as well, we sometimes run away from the numbers and what the numbers mean and how to make the numbers work or whatever, whatever it is we're looking for. But I would definitely say get a hold of your financials and understanding finances and understanding the numbers much quicker, much earlier. Because it would help as you're, in your journey and stuff like that. So that's definitely one thing I felt like I was like, oh, I'm making sales, but just not really get my head around the numbers. But once I did, I remember I took a few courses. I paid for some stuff at the British Library. And just don't be afraid of the cash flow. Get your head, that is your lifeblood. Do not be afraid of the cash flow and understand what that document means. That is it's part of your business Bible kind of thing. So definitely don't be afraid of the numbers and get a hang of your financials from the very beginning.
I think finances seems to play the pivotal role in all this business thing that we're talking about. I know it might not be the main core, but it does play a part. Now, let me ask you, do you run Soap Connoisseur in the UK?
No, Soap Connoisseur is on hold. It's a business that I've descaled down from about 2024. Once I think we did our last trade show in Ghana, that was kind of it for us. So for you to get Soap Connoisseur, you probably have to be somebody we know, who's been with us. But I did descale it until I figured out what I really wanted to do with it. So it's not active. I wouldn't say it's an active business right now I'm running. Yeah.
Because I wanted to ask why you chose to start from Africa. What is it about in doing business in Africa?
Well, I didn't start. I would say I grew into Africa.
Exactly.
Consultancy, yeah. So the consultancy, it's sort of been on a journey in itself. When I first started Connoisseur Consult specifically, it was really an extension of, if you want to say, Soap Connoisseur and working within the cosmetic business. I think at the time, even we spoke about, which was to offer business support for cosmetic brands and cosmetic businesses. And that really is how Connoisseur Consult started, and the background behind Connoisseur Consult. It was an extension because I saw the gap in beauty and cosmetic businesses not having the right business support or even understanding their operations and some of those stuff. So I did see that gap, and that was how Connoisseur Consult started. When I think I journeyed into the continent, I realized, but apart from that, I ended up doing some extra work around business mentoring and business support. And I saw that the market was much, much wider than just niching down on cosmetics and the cosmetics industry. And so it was almost in a way of growing, I had to take the leap and go into other industries that needed the service that we provided. And I think Africa became the sort of that bridge, and building a consultancy on the ground helped me to be able to develop our own frameworks, right? And that's what consultancy doesn't have in terms of being on the continent. We usually import frameworks, so we usually import the solutions in. And I think what Connoisseur Consult Sierra Leone is really doing is being able to build those on-the-ground frameworks that look at the problem from the African point of view, but the solution is also from the African point of view. So it's an underground solution, and building that work. It's I say I always stumble upon my businesses, but it's been really good, and actually it's such an amazing market to go into and to learn from and understand.
So thank you very much. Interesting aspect as well. Let me take you back to, you mentioned of the scaling soap connoisseur. When you start something that people actually want, because I know when you started, you had people that were very much interested.
Mm-hmm.
At what point should you feel like growing that thing?
So in what sense? I think you would know if something needs to be... No? Would you not know if you were going to grow something? I think it's also
like you get to know now it's time to grow. So Connoisseur has to move from one shop to the other shop. That is, would I say visibility or distribution, growth. So in the general picture, if there was that kind of model that I have started this thing, people are loving it, I have only just one place, and I'm getting people showing interest from different parts of maybe Sierra Leone, at what point you get to know that this is the time to grow?
I think that's founder's ambition. I think that's what you as a founder want. I think you as the founder is the one who makes that decision as to when is the right time for us to grow, when is the right time for us to scale. What is your ambition for the business? Do you want to grow the business? Do you want to scale the business? Some people don't. I heard this lady talking like business, and she was like, she doesn't want to grow her business into a $1 billion dollar company. And she's very clear on that because she understands what it takes to grow the business to that level. It requires a whole nother level from her, and she doesn't have that to put into the business, and she's honest about that, and she's happy with where her business is and where her business growth is. So it's you as the founder and the one who owns this baby that decides, how much do I really want to grow? Do I want to grow into 3 continents? Do I want to grow into another African country, right? So that's an internal and an intentional decision that you make as the person building the thing. So it's kind of the thing is the only limit is you. You're the only one who, you make that decision. Yeah. I think it's what are you limiting or not limiting yourself to.
Okay. I want to start a business. What would you advise me what should be that one mistake that every entrepreneur should avoid? What would be that one mistake that every entrepreneur should avoid?
You know what? I'm going to give like a different answer to this question because
I don't, think, yeah. Let me, because we're educating a lot of people.
Because I think we've got to be honest about what this thing is. Like, you're building something you've probably never done before in your life. Yeah. Like, you're really going to try and do something that you've probably never done from the, especially from the question that you've asked. Of course you're going to make mistakes. In fact, you should be willing and open to making those mistakes. So I think there's no such thing as what's the one mistake I shouldn't make as an entrepreneur. Make all the mistakes as an entrepreneur, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, learn the lessons. It isn't making the mistakes. You really test your grit and your ability as a business person, and whether you're gonna keep going and or not going. There's no picture perfect. Like, so learn, make all the mistakes, learn all the lessons. Don't skip any of them along the way, type of thing, because actually however you've planned that journey, I guarantee you it probably is not going to go that way. It is difficult, it is painful, but at the same time it has its rewards and and joys that come along with it. So I can't sit here and tell anybody who wants to go into business or is running the business that they should avoid so like X amount. No, learn those mistakes, those mistakes because they build you up as an entrepreneur. They build you know, your business up. It makes you really solidify whether or not you want to keep growing this thing and building this thing. So yeah, that's my answer to that question.
Absolutely. And this is one of the best answers I've ever received. Like, make all the mistakes. Don't limit yourself, because yes, you are drawing into something that is very much bigger. So definitely you don't limit yourself to, like, this is what I'm trying to avoid. Make the mistakes and learn. So, and that is absolutely one of the best advice I've gotten from you in this discussion that we're having currently. Yeah, so this is Mahawa Kamara, a business consultant. She's very much when it comes to business development. Mahawa, if you are to start from scratch today, what would be that first thing or something that you would want to do first if you are supposed to start
build
from
the audience
today? Okay.
Build the audience. Yeah, I would have built the audience.
Tell me more about that. Yeah.
Because I think especially now, if I'm starting from scratch from now, I'm building the audience before I'm putting any product, any service in front of them. Because once you have the eyeballs, and obviously as we kind of rightly understand, attention is currency. Once you have the eyeballs, there's you can then kind of put a pen in front of people and want to buy the pen and stuff like that. So I definitely look at building an audience. So definitely building the community around the thing that you're selling or around the problem that you're selling, and becoming that voice and that expert within that industry and sector. That is something that's worth its time in doing. I mean, that's something I would have not necessarily build it first, or at least been very much more intentional about building my voice and what I do and my authority in the space I was in much earlier.
Would you want to touch on how to build the audience?
Consistency. I think again, who is your audience? You got to know who's your audience. Where do they live? Quick marketing sort of 101, right? Where do they live? Where do they, just have a clear, first thing is having a clear
customer profile, kind of.
Thank you. Yeah. Your UX, who is, who's the person that you're really speaking to and that's going to listen to you, and what you have to say, or who's the person you provide a solution for. That's the best. I love using that word because I think solution, and people think, okay, and stuff. And I think once you know who they are, you show up where they are. That's like really it. You got to show up where they are. There's no point in me talking to people on TikTok if my audience sits in Facebook. I remember we're doing an audit for someone's like business channel recently, and that came up, and actually his audience sits on Facebook, but he keeps posting on LinkedIn. And I said to him, your audience is on Facebook. Like, the people you need to speak to, who need to hear this, are on Facebook. There's not enough, and he keeps posting on LinkedIn, keeps concentrating on LinkedIn. And I said, they're not there, and that's why you're getting crickets and things like that. So it's really understanding, who you're speaking to, and going where they are, so you can actually speak to them. And then the message that you are going to deliver to them. So having clarity, what is my message? What is it that I'm saying to these people? And then, of course, being consistent with that message, rinse and repeat that message over time.
Interestingly, it's been a very wonderful segment with Mahawa Kamara, and she's really poured a lot. I've personally learned a lot as well in this particular segment. But before you leave my seat, what would be your final advice to any listener who would want to start something, or if someone is listening to you, what would be that one thing they can take from you?
Start. I know. I think I've said it so much in the episode, throughout this episode, which is really start. And fail. What it failed first attempt in learning. That's what they say fail means. So it's my first attempt in learning something, and of course I'm gonna fail, and that's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that. So embrace the failure, embrace the mistakes, embrace the challenges, because they're definitely going to come along the way. And I think sometimes, and actually the truth is, if you're doing something and it's not challenging, it probably isn't really worth doing in the first place. Do you understand? So actually the challenges are good. The obstacles are they're there. They're muscle builders. They're actually really there for a reason. They're not there for a bad thing. They're actually really there to really build the muscle, to push you, to get you going. Before you know, you're coming up with new ideas, you're being innovative, because there's this obstacle in front of me. You're thinking, how am I gonna get past it? So I think embracing those things that are going to come with the journey, and equally the wins, the joys, the opportunities, is going to give you such a beautiful journey, entrepreneurship journey, and such a beautiful business journey. And I think sometimes we don't talk enough about the joys of entrepreneurship and what those joys mean, and that actually how those challenges and those obstacles can be turned into moments of joy, because I had an obstacle, it meant I had to think of another way to get to my customers and my and now I've been able to discover it, and before I knew it, I discovered a new supply chain, and before I've opened up a whole nother market. And that is the journey I think we miss, and I don't want anybody to miss that, because at the end of that journey is such a beautiful experience, and you get to become that person that you are working towards becoming. So embrace the challenges, embrace all of the glitz, the glam, and the hard graft that comes with this journey.
What a wonderful afternoon that I've had with you, and I've actually picked my own form of advice. If it doesn't challenge you, probably it might not even be worth it. So yes, let it challenge you. Start it anyway, whilst you learn on the course. So yeah, it has to be anything that really challenges you, makes you think outside the box, and it opens up your thinking cap, because you need to go beyond and above to make sure it is working, because you've already invested in it. And this is one of the best advice I've had this afternoon. So it's been a good time having Mahawa Kamara, your British Sierra Leone business consultant, on our screen. And I know you've enjoyed every bit of the insight that she's poured into this segment, building something from the scratch. Mahawa, it's been a wonderful time with you this afternoon, and I hope to have you one more time to have another discussion into that. Have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.